welcome to week 5 of the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. I'm your host, Chip Hare, with Coach Bill Neese. Today's show, again, is brought to you by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. And Coach, Indians get a big win against a very good Xenia team on Friday night. Indians win 35-6. We'll talk more about the details of the game here in a little bit. But, Coach, just your impression of coming off a nice win against the Buccaneers.
It's an excellent football team that came to town, and I thought our players were very prepared for both their offense, defense, and the special teams. I think that as the night wore on, that we were able to play fast and continue to play fast, and that was one of the big keys of the whole game. We had some big plays, and I think the disappointing thing was we had 2 big plays that resulted in touchdowns that were brought back, and it's a lesson that we've learned. And I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. The penalties, if they're aggressive penalties, and that's what they were aggressive penalties that you sometimes you got to lay off of them. That you got to be smart. And it's a double-edged sword. We want our players to be aggressive. We want them to play hard. We want them to play fast. But on the other hand, we want to make sure that you're not, hurting us in the process. And so after watching the film on Saturday, I think it was a good lesson for us all, and everybody, has seen, what stuff like that can, especially on special teams. We never get penalties on special teams, and we got a penalty on special teams, and that's all about field position right there. So once we straighten it out, I think we're gonna be good.
Coach, you look at the way the game went in the first quarter. We really come out with a bang. We stopped them on their drive. First offensive play, Josiah Medley gets a score and puts us on the board right away. Again, we get another score in the, I believe it was right there at the end of the first quarter. We're up 14-0, and things were really rolling for the Indians, and you just really got a sense that this was going to be a good night for us. And then, as you said, penalties started to come into play. Touchdowns were called back, and throughout the night, I think we had a total of 100 yards in penalties.
We had nine for 105. Yeah.
Coach, when you look at that, as I'm sure you go into halftime. We're up 21-6. One of the touchdowns was called there, right? The last play coming back. You almost felt like you were down 21-6. What's some of the things that were going through your mind? How do you approach your team? What was your thought process as you got into the locker room?
There's certain times you just have to have a feel for it, and it depends on the players. And certain times where you got to shake them up a little bit, and certain times you can deal with a mistake and go, okay, hey, we're all right, and that wasn't a hey, we're all right scenario. It was we have to shake them up a little bit. So I think we got everybody's attention and made sure we come out in the second half. And I don't know that we played any smarter, but I think we played with the same intensity that we played the whole game. And that's something that I will constantly say that's what I'd rather have. I would rather have these intense, hard-working people that you try to reel in, rather than trying to come in here and say, hey, come on, let's get going. This place is dead. We don't have any emotion. So I'll never look that gift horse in the mouth.
Well, it's interesting because when you look at the score, and so many people saw the score on the news, the newspaper, or even online and social media, and it was, wow, what a dominant win the Indians had, 35-6. If you're at the game, you might have had a little different feel for that. But I think it goes to show you how good this football team is and can be.
Oh yeah, and we had to battle a little bit, and we got our backs up against the wall a couple times. I know there's about 2 or 3 fourth down situations that we were able to get out of, and we have guys that made some plays Friday night. And the big thing is we got to continue to make plays. I know coaches sometimes get all excited about one game. And, oh, man, we made this play. Hey, guess what? You got to do it every week. And you got to do it against a different opponent every week. And everything's different. Everything changes. There's a group of guys right now that are plotting our demise. And we got to be ready for anything they're going to throw against us. And then when that's over with, you start over again, and there's going to be another group of people plotting your demise. So you just got to continue to try to stay one step ahead of them.
Before we talk about that team that's getting ready to plot that demise against us, I thought there was an interesting couple pieces in the game. It was up 14-0, and just show you how Xenia was good. They changed a couple game plan and ran the ball right down the middle. They had a nice running back, scored a touchdown. It was 14-6, and we're in a ball game.
Yeah.
And our guys responded to that. Again, defensively, our defense really showed how not only how we make adjustments, but we made big plays.
Yeah, we did, and we've got a little bit more ability than we had last year with dealing with, if a team wants to come out and just slug it. Last year, if everybody remembers the first game against Troy, they packed it in and just slugged it at us, and were able to score. And I think this year we have a little bit more depth, we have a little bit better size, and we can go in and deal with them also. So I think that kind of helped us. Not necessarily, I shouldn't say size because Lance was in there and we had Jarrell, but I'm talking more about the fact that we could sub some guys in there and keep them fresh and not just sit there and go, well, I got to waste another timeout because everybody's tired.
One advantage of that is particularly in your defensive line to be able to do that and give people breaks and not have a drop off.
Correct, and saying we're able to do the same thing on the offensive line too. So I think that mixture is pretty good.
Coach, the other defensive stance I think about is there at the end of the fourth quarter. Certainly the game was in hand, but they were driving and close to the end of end of the game, and we get a pick. Sam Schmeezy gets an interception. They're right near, I think, the 3 or 4 yard line, and we get it back. Of course, that takes care of the game. But again, our defense was challenged, and they stepped up.
I think they did. I think they did a very good job, and it was diverse. There was a couple, 2, 3 different types of things that were, there was a power game, there was a passing game, there was a little screen game. So I think they did a good job of all the overall, trying to find where the ball is and dealing with, the play action pass. And I mean, we sat and watched so many teams just getting killed, with just passes down the field and just posts, stuff like that. And so we were really happy with what our secondary did.
Coach, Indians win 35-6. Indians go 4-0 overall, 3-0 in the league, and the next one's up is really the next one, the Battle of Helmet, which again is one of the biggest rivalries and most played rivalries in the state of Ohio, and one that's been picked up the intensity the last few years because we talked about every year, and when we play Sydney, it's only a rivalry if they can beat you, and they have shown that game has been competitive even though the Indians have prevailed here the last couple of years. We know the team up north is going to be ready for the Indians to come to town into their stadium.
Yeah, and it's an enjoyable game. It's odd that this is the first, I think maybe first year in a long time I can remember that it's game 5 and you've played both your rivals already, and it'll be a great matchup for us. They got some talented kids. You got a great coaching staff and a great program up there. So we're doing what we can. We got our work in tonight, and we'll continue to get our work in and try to do the things that we do well, and not try to reinvent too much stuff. And in the meantime, go up there and see what we can do.
Jackets coming off a 2-game win streak, defeating Greenville 2 weeks ago, and then shutting out Butler at home last week as well. You mentioned they're well coached. Adams Court's been up there for several years and has had some success. He's got a good number of athletes and football players to go with. What can the Indians expect to see from Sydney on Friday?
They run a wide open attack. Usually, 2x2 or a 3x1 set. Throw a lot of screens. The quarterback is really the focal point of their whole organization, just like he was last year on the offense. We've got him charted for 202 plays, and of those 202 plays, I think 165 of them are triggered by the quarterback. Either he throws 85 times, and he's ran the ball 65 times, and that add up to 150. So
I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, that's probably one of the big things. They get some talented receivers, and they like to spread the field out and do some things of that nature. And then defensively, they've been very solid. They were able to keep Greenville, kind of under control, and then they shut out Vandalia Butler, which is not an easy task. They held a very good Bell Fountain team, kind of around 20 points. So I think, they're playing really good defense. The big glitch for them was the night that they had the rain and Tip City come back, delay and come back and so forth and so on. So I think they probably wanted to get, do a little bit better job there. But overall, they played a really well formulated season so far.
Well, you talk about the Tip game, and that was a game where they were in a delay. I think certainly a much vast improved Sydney team from that game, and I think a different team that we're going to see in week 5 than we saw in week 2.
Yeah, and their special teams are sound. They ran back a kickoff for a touchdown, so that's we're on full alert with all of our kicking, our coverage teams. So there's just a lot of little things, so we got to make sure we cover.
Defensively, what does the Jackets like to do?
They play a three-man front. They play similar to what Xenia did, but they have their own flavor to it. And so it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, especially on the outside part of their defense. So it's similar to what they played last year. Like I said, they've got a lot of good consistency. They're not changing over the course of the years and trying to find something new, and they're trying to do what they do and get better. As we say, we always tell our guys, embrace your system. It's your system. Okay, embrace it. Okay, understand what happens, what goes wrong, and how you fix it. You don't just say you go get a new one. Right. And it's just like a car or anything else. If you know your car inside out, you can make the repairs rather than just say, well, let's just go get a new car. And I think that they're at that point where they can do that defensively now.
Keys to the game on Friday night, certainly it's going to be an emotional game for both teams because it is a rivalry, but I'm sure part of that is controlling the emotions and playing through. But what do you see as keys for the Indians for a victory on Friday?
Well, I think we got to do the first thing we got to do on defense is we got to make sure that we're keeping the big plays to a minimum, and that's always our goal, to keep big plays to a minimum. And on offense, I think our number one priority is do not turn over the ball, and we turned the ball over twice Friday night. And that is very uncharacteristic, and we want to make sure that does not happen again. So we've been doing as many things as possible already Saturday and already Monday, and we'll continue to do them up until game time Friday night.
Yeah, you mentioned very few times is that you play your two rival games by week 5. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have to go back and look at what the years were. I don't know when's the last time that Piqua has played both Sydney and Troy on the road in the same season. Mm-hmm. It's been a while. From your perspective, it's probably nice just to be back on a Friday night, get back to a Friday schedule, as last Friday was our first game on a Friday in a couple weeks. I do think there's probably a little bit of the kids getting used to that routine again, getting themselves back into that
there is
flavor.
There's a lot to be said for consistency, especially when you're coaching high school guys. Consistency in terms of what you're doing, what the expectations are, and so you got to have some consistency so you can measure your growth. Mm-hmm. If you're just changing stuff all the time, and going from here to here to here, you never can figure out if you're getting any better or if there's any growth. So as a result, I think the consistency is good. As far as for the away games, I don't know. It's 10 minutes there, 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes each direction. So I don't know that plays a huge amount, into anybody's. Everybody's got great stadiums. Everybody's got great facilities.
Well, the one thing that we do have the opportunity to do, as we did against Troy, is you have the opportunity to play for something, and you're playing for a battered helmet. And in this case, we're getting the opportunity to keep the battered helmet here. And I know that's something that's important to our kids because I've heard them say, "Hey, we need to keep it here in Piqua."
It is.
Stay home is what I think I heard them say. It's got to stay home.
Yeah. You don't necessarily play games for trophies, but if a trophy's involved, why not use it as a motivator?
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah. Coach, as we talk a little bit now of our senior portion, getting ready to talk to a couple guys who are a big part of the program and who have really been a staple for your line is Wyatt, Dobbins, and Zach McGuire. Talk a little bit about them and how they have really kind of helped our line to be as successful as they have been in the last couple of years.
Well, our offensive line has really gotten, I don't want to give them too much credit, but they've really gotten good over like last year and then coming into this year. And one of the biggest reasons is that they communicate with one another. And Caleb Lyons is the catalyst of that. He's up, hitting it all, but silently over in the middle and silently over to the right. If you're really up in there during practice, you can hear, Wyatt grunt out a few what he's supposed to do to his guard, and then Zeke doing the same thing at center. And so we've got a younger two guards up in the middle that playing right guard, Soliday and Vasco, and those guys, really benefit from being in the middle of those two seniors. And both of them are outstanding, kids. They go over to Career Center and they're hard workers. They come over here, hustle over here, they're always like 5 minutes behind everybody, and they get in here, get down to their meetings. They're the only there's three guys that have to, after practice, go lift. where everybody else has already had the opportunity to lift. So there's a couple things that they overcome, but we really appreciate just the mental aspect of what they do. We lost Zach for a year. Zach didn't play for a year, and then we persuaded him to come back. I saw him in the hallway one day, and I said, "Are you ever going to come back?" And he said, "Yeah, this year." And about I stopped the show right there. And he's just a natural-born center.
Oh, he's
natural,
solid. Yeah.
Natural-born center. Plays in the middle. He's got great balance. Great balance coming off the linebackers. And, the thing about Wyatt is Wyatt can come in and give us 2 to 3 series as a game at defensive tackle to get either Anson or get lines off the field, and he comes off the ball. He can come off the ball. He understands line play. It's just hands, flat back, coming off the ball, leverage, and then moving, and he can do that. And so that gives us a great addition to be able to put him in the game too.
And Wyatt's got a little edge to him, and I mean that in a good way. I mean, he just keeps coming at you until the whistle blows.
Yeah. Yes.
he's man, a few words, but boy, he really does it. He does his talking on the field.
Yeah, he plays. You can coin a phrase. He plays the game angry.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you talk about Zach. How hard that you figured out. And as a center, you've not only got to worry about blocking your guy, but you got to make sure that ball gets to the quarterback without fumbling the snap. Particularly, think about the Troy game where it was wet and conditions are off.
Yeah.
I'm sure, that's another element there that you've got to be thinking about. It center's a little different than the others.
Center might be one of the hardest positions I think to play because you have to do everything everybody else does, but still get the ball back there in a perfect spot. To get the play going, and it's not even anymore this little snap up. I mean, now you got to kick it back 6 yards, and float that thing just right so they have the laces right and everything like that. And it's amazing, what he does with that.
Coach, we're certainly happy to have those two guys on our line because they're a big part of what we do. And as you said, the ball doesn't get to Brady Uhl or it doesn't get to Josiah unless we have those guys. Snapping and making big holes for those guys. Cause,
three outstanding seniors on that offensive line, and I wish like season like this could just keep on going, because those guys they're now in their third year. They're easy to coach because they know they know stuff. They know this, and they're just getting better at what they're doing.
The other thing I quietly note is I can see that Josiah and Tanner and Brady are appreciative of those guys ahead of them. They don't take them for granted.
No, nobody does. I mean, they do a good job. And we have a healthy competition because we've got a pretty good defensive line too. Mm-hmm. And when we take those guys and we go from offense to defense to offense or whatever, if everybody else just kind of stands back and says, let's not get into this moving traffic too much. and those guys go at it about 3 days a week. They go at it pretty hard for a couple sessions here and a couple sessions here during the course of practice.
It's an interesting point you bring that point up because we talked about the offensive line today, and there's been other shows where we really talk about how strong the defensive line is. Yeah, there's probably been some years where your offensive line, when they're strong, isn't maybe getting the reps that they need against the defensive line that maybe not. But the last year or two in particular, you've really had probably some strong competitive practices where you probably might have had to will them back a little bit.
Yeah, well, it gives us the way we practice now. When we changed our practice, the way we actually practiced 2 years ago, we dramatically just blew up our whole practice schedule, and we do it a completely different way. But the whole idea is that every drill is a drill. It's not defensive day, offensive day. When we run a drill, it's the offense's drill, it's the defense's drill, and nobody knows. And if you've ever coached football or any sport, I guess you probably think about this, and it's true. Every time you do something, you kind of know who's supposed to win. Either the defense is supposed to win because it's their practice, or the offense is supposed to win because it's their practice. We've got it right now about 80% of the time. No one knows if it's an offensive drill or a defensive drill. So we've got highly competitive, and the coaches are competitive out there. In terms of they want to win. They want their players to look good. The only person that wins all the time is me because I coach offensive and defensive line. So and I control the drills. But everybody else, they get after it.
Speaking of winning and speaking competitive, we know it's going to be competitive Friday night as the Indians bus up to Sydney to play in what is always a great game. But again, it's a conference game. It's important. It's the next game ahead of us.
It is, and our goal is to be 1-0 every week, and move from there.
Coach, we certainly wish you well in your preparations, and as we get ready for the Jackets on Friday. And good luck up at Sydney.
Thank you.
We will be back. We are going to talk to Zach. We're going to talk Wyatt, and you're going to find out a little bit about how that offensive line really goes and what goes through their mind in making sure that they come to the practice and games ready to go. We'll be back here for part 2 of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show. Welcome to part 2 of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show. Now is the players portion of the program. Of course, this show is brought to you by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. And with us now are our seniors. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, their name, and the position that they play for the Indians.
Wyatt Dobbins. I play offensive right tackle and a little bit of defense.
I'm Zach McGuire. I play center for offensive line.
Zach, I'm going to let you hold it for now. Zach, thanks for being here with us tonight. Talk a little bit about coming off a big win. Coming off of a team that was very good in Xenia and win by a score of 35-6. We've talked a lot about what this game meant in terms of an important game in the league. What was your feelings on the win over the Buccaneers?
It was good. We just need to work on doing more offensive line and keeping the line good and everything.
So let's talk a little about the line. Yeah, that's kind of a big important. You know, you're a center, and that's a big job. What is it for you? How important do you think that is for you? And do you get nervous before the game about that stuff, or are you pretty steady Eddie the whole time?
I get nervous sometimes, like when the big games like Troy. It was I got a little nervous on snapping because the ball was wet and everything. But other than that, pretty good. Like, not really many nerves.
Good. Wyatt, talk a little bit about the game for you. It was a nice win over a team that had come in undefeated. It was nice to be back home playing on a Friday. We hadn't played on a Friday in a couple weeks because of course, COVID, and the Troy game had been moved to Saturday because of COVID. What was your impressions of the game for Friday night?
For me, I didn't think I was doing too well, to be honest. They had some great defensive tackles. They was really making me work, and big thing for me is my feet work. I need to work on that better. And towards the second half, I was starting to get it. I learned pulled out some tricks that I used to help me out. But yeah, that's it. Work on my feet work.
I'm going to ask both of you guys this question because, you know, Bill Neese is the head football coach, but he's also, you guys don't get away from him at all. No. You guys are with him all the time because he's your position coach. What's that like for him not just to be your head coach, but also your position coach?
I mean...
You don't hide, do you?
No. I mean, he's not a tough guy to work with. I mean, you just do what he says, and that's all to it.
Exactly, same thing. What's your thoughts when working with him, and what's the opportunity like to have the opportunity to be with a guy who's been in the game for so long and knowing you're getting good coaching?
It's good. I like working with him. He's a very good coach. He knows what he's doing with the offensive line. He knows like where we should block, how to block it. Tells us to go how we go over it.
Well, let's talk about the next one. What's some of the goals for the season for you coming into it? Anything for you, Zach, that as you look at this season, we're 4 games into it. What's your thoughts on your goals and aspirations for the 2021 football season for the Piqua Indians?
Definitely go get that chip. But this week, focusing on Sydney, working on that, how we should block and everything, mainly focusing on week by week, but I want to go get that chip.
All right.
For me, I don't really know. I mean, I just finishing out the year, to be honest. Just finishing out the year.
One game at a time.
One game at a time.
You know, I think that's what I admire about this team is the fact that you guys have, you know, you're 4-0 and. Yeah, it's nice to know that we're undefeated, and you know maybe there's some good things down the road. But you really aren't just taking about what I'm hearing you guys say. I got to get better at this, and I got to get better at that, and it's really team oriented. About hey, we got a good team, I got a good group of guys, but we're really just taking it 1 week at a time. Isn't that what you think?
Yeah.
Talk about your teammates. These are guys you played with for a long time. What's it like to line up against, or a lineup with, I should say, like a Caleb Lyons and a Landon Hare and a Tate Adams and Cy Medley. What's it like to be with those guys?
Well, for me, last year was a big year for me because I was always against Jarrell. Like, he got me better. Like, that's who I can definitely say got me better. Like, I was lined up against him. He always, you always see him. Like last year, he was getting sacks and that, and I had to be the one that had to block him every single day. That's who got
Probably
me
wasn't
better.
very fun.
No. But no, he helped me with pass blocking and run blocking, so it's kind of easy to me. Like, and Tate, I mean, yeah, he does work me. He's got those long arms that I'm trying to get used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He presents a whole nother set of challenges, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach, what's your thoughts on your teammates? Or I guess guys have kind of helped you get to this point, like Wyatt talked about Jarrell. Anybody?
Lance helped me at the beginning of the year last year, but then Caleb kind of helped me like get my footwork and how to line up and how to like get rhythm. He helped me with the line and everything too. He like says something like, "Yo, Zeke, you gotta scoop to the backside just in case I forget or something."
Mm-hmm.
Helps me on that kind of stuff. Man, Sai is just a different breed this year. He's different. Yeah, it's fun working with everyone,
Being an
especially
offensive-
everyone in our grade.
Yeah, well, you've got a good group. You guys have great chemistry. We've talked about that throughout the few weeks that we've been on the show. But being on the line, that's you're guys in the front line of it. It's doing the grunt work.
Yeah.
You're doing all the heavy lifting. You're doing, and it's not the glory job, but you got guys that Josiah and those guys. They seem to really appreciate the work that you guys do for them and creating those holes. Would you say you feel appreciated?
Yeah. Good communication when it gets the line going. Like,
Yeah.
keeping our heads up. We all keep each other up. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Let's fast forward it to now. We're going to be in June or May, Memorial Day weekend of 2022. You guys are going to be graduating, walking across the stage here at Alexander Stadium, getting your diplomas. What's next for Zach McGuire? What are you going to be a year from now? What are some of the thoughts that you're thinking about?
If I get a college degree, probably go to college. But if not, probably going to either do something with welding or maybe go to construction, something maybe. I don't know.
Okay, very good.
My plans kind of switched up because of who is in office. Yeah,
Presidential office. Oh, we're going to make
Yeah.
this political. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna go.
Dobbins, I didn't know we were going to go that direction tonight.
I was gonna go into the military. I was gonna go into the Marines, but
Okay.
because right now I'm a switch up. I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna go through college to the military, and then I'm gonna go into the military. And then after that, I'm go to auto collision. I'm gonna work on cars, and after that, I'm probably going to start my own business.
Good. Guys, we certainly wish you guys luck as you guys move on into your careers. But let's enjoy where you are right now with football. Enjoy each week, and best luck as we move to Sydney this week.
Thank you.
All right. This will wrap up the Bill Nieces Coaches Show. We appreciate you being here, and just a reminder that the Sydney game will be aired on pay-per-view. Those highlights or that information will be posted on the athletic website for Pickle City Schools. Also, you can get tickets in the office, pre-sale $5 in the athletic office up until 2 p.m. on Friday, and then you can certainly get them at the gate for $8. The Battle of the Battered Helmet, Friday night at Sydney, as the Indians go into the game looking for their 5th win of the season. For Zach and Wyatt, I'm your host, Chip Hare. We'll see you next week.